So, I have a secret that I want to share with you. I love Star Wars. And I know I'm not going to be some trailblazer when I say that. Star Wars is something that's beloved to perhaps billions of people, and it also literally changed the face of filmmaking. Special effects were revolutionized by both Star Wars trilogies, for better and for worse. And the hype that came with each of these movies was out of this world. You know the term blockbuster? That was coined because people literally lined up around the block to see the original Star Wars movie in theaters. And you know the spoiler culture we're in now, where websites and fan blogs are stumbling over one another and themselves to get a scoop? That largely started with coverage of Episode 1. These movies are just huge. I mean, everywhere you look, you get Star Wars. It's a lot. Enough to even give George Lucas a 1,000-yard stare. But I think it's pretty obvious why this franchise is loved oh so well. There's something here for everyone, without it turning into a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none situation. We have flavors of Western thrown into the pot with old Kurosawa classics and Flash Gordon-esque sci-fi serials. Hints of real-world imagery and mythological ideas gleamed through the big-ass lens of science fiction. Beats of action and fantasy and romance all blaring by. It feels like a culmination of a lot of our collective thoughts as a species. It's no wonder it caught on, or why a lot of people think it's so special, or why I loved it so. Alright, so I was born in 1993, so my first cognitive memories with the franchise were with the prequels. And to you hardened Star Wars fans out there, don't pity me. I loved every second of it. I must have been a bit too young to remember episodes 1 and 2 in theaters, but I'm positive that my mom took me and my brother to go see those films. I also remember that we had a collection of VHS tapes for the original trilogy. They were in this golden cardboard box with the striking silhouette of the first film's poster on its side. I'm fairly certain it was a special anniversary collector's set of some sort, probably the special editions. My earliest memories with these first 5 movies are blurry at best. They all kind of run together. The fact that they've always been with me is comforting. It's like a security blanket that I can always turn to when I'm feeling down. That said, specific things stick out to me, like bright, burning beacons in the murky marsh of my memory. And interestingly, they almost all involve the time I spent with the series outside of the theater. I distinctly remember a conversation I had with my mom about Star Wars. I was pretty sure that Luke had his hand cut off at some point in the series, but she said I was thinking of Anakin. Of course, you know, not to brag, but I ended up being right. Learn the lore, Mom. But to be entirely fair, I'm pretty sure she wasn't very familiar with the series as a whole, and was instead indulging my interests. Love you, Mom. My brother and my friends and I all had several of those replica lightsabers. You know, the ones that were like sectioned tubes that collapsed into the hilt and lit up appropriately when they were turned on. Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars cartoon started airing when I was 11, and I watched those shorts with my friends Rankin and John between matches of Soul Calibur 2. Some of them are like permanently etched into my mind. The introduction of General Grievous where he killed Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. By the way, look it up. That actually happened. It's canon. It's real. Mace Windu taking on an entire droid army all on his own. An elite squad of clone troopers trapped behind enemy lines. Surge, that one bounty hunter who was like the hunters from Halo. Obi-Wan's sly smile as Anakin graduates into knighthood. It was fantastic. As were many of the Star Wars games from LucasArts. I remember once when I was in middle school, I'd gotten terribly sick and I had to miss an entire week of class. A lot of that time where I felt otherwise horrible was spent waging war in the trenches of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Later, my friends and I would play that game together, sometimes until the sun came up. We'd have to rush to bed so the parents at whatever house we were staying at wouldn't be upset that we were up so late. What I'm getting at is that the Star Wars experience that I grew up with was very much an amalgamation of the original trilogy and the prequels. It's all imagery that is very important to me. Young Anakin on Tatooine, his shadow forming Vader's silhouette. The portraits of Obi-Wan and Anakin blackened against molten lava, their crystal blue lightsabers ignited. Luke staring out over a desert as a pair of sinking suns set into the horizon. Han and Leia proclaiming their love in the red and blue glow of Cloud City. A single figure against a funeral pyre and a pan up into the stars. And my friends and I hunched over a television, playing at Galactic War. Silky smooth animation recounting what seemed like endless battles between two faceless factions. Backyard brawls with plastic tubes that emulated our favorite weapon from a galaxy far, far away. That is my Star Wars. And the coolest thing is that I know that no one else's Star Wars is quite the same, because this is a series that means so many different things to so many different people. That's why in the back of my mind there are parts of its fanbase that just baffle me. It's unfortunate, but it feels like you can't go 3 feet on the internet without finding an argument over exactly what Star Wars is. With people actually suggesting that no new fan of the franchise, regardless of their age, be exposed to prequel-era material. Pretending that it doesn't exist to somehow shield potential admirers from what they were personally overhyped for and then disappointed by. All while ignoring the imperfections in the original trilogy, holding them up to an unreasonable standard that only nostalgia can render. These conversations have always confused me. I've never understood why they were happening in the first place. I'm not even suggesting that the original trilogy is bad, because those movies are not. Or that the prequel films are good, or that you should like all of it, or just some of it. The quality of the work stands on its own, and fans should let people craft their own opinions about them on their own. Doing anything else, to me, goes against the very thing that makes Star Wars so special in the first place. In a universe as vast and expansive as the Star Wars galaxy, trying to nail down exactly what Star Wars is through the very narrow lens of a single trilogy of films feels unrealistic to me. This galaxy far, far away is so simultaneously huge and dense with detail, something few other pieces of fiction can claim. There were places that were run down, where the rules set of a Wild West were the only laws that applied. Just as there were places that were polished and pristine, where conduct was conventional and proper, limiting what this universe can be to what was depicted between 1977 and 1983 is not only a disservice to a beautiful franchise, but also neglects the cherished experiences of millions. Just look at what I described as my personal experiences here. Maybe it resembles yours, and maybe it doesn't at all. That is a strength, not a weakness. The memories of those who grew up in the late 70s and early 80s with the original trilogy and the spin-off comics and the toys and the holiday special are no more or less valid than those who grew up in the late 90s and early aughts with the prequels and toy lightsabers and video games and cartoons, or the coming generation that will grow up with the sequel trilogy and the anthology films and God only knows what else. To many, all of it is Star Wars. All of the films, all of the cartoons, all of the games and the comics and the toys. Don't feel like you have to shackle the rules of this fantasy so strictly, because Star Wars is a billion different things to a billion different people. And I am proud to say that that is my Star Wars.